welcome to our August monthly meeting. This is an open meeting, so people have registered to join us that wouldn't normally join our Powerful Women in Leadership group. So welcome to everybody who has joined us here today. But as we hear from our speakers today, if we keep these thoughts in our minds of what it means to us and what it means to the others in our core. The majority of people have said change, which is good. So our next question is for future. What emerging technology would you like to learn more about in the power sector? And this will help us with our market research generally, just looking at future Powerful Women workshops and future articles that we get written in our general newsletters. Doing lots of different ones. And I would like to welcome our first speaker, which is Hester De Wet from Aurecon. She's a principal in growth today. So Hester, I know that you're there.
Yes, I am. Thanks, Emily.
Lovely. So welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'll give a bit of an intro to myself and who I am. So hi, everybody. My name is Hester De Wet, and well done, Emily. You got my surname right. I appreciate that. So my career has been, I developed my career in technical management and market shaping roles in mining, energy, civil aerospace, construction, and technology. I commenced my career as an electrical engineer and has progressed into significant leadership roles in dynamic and intensely competitive environments, becoming known for leading high-performing multidisciplinary teams and my ability to manage substantial investment and technical, operational, and commercial risk. I believe the ask is really tell a story about my innovation journey. So let me give you guys a bit of an overview of my career. As you've heard, I've worked in several different industries, and preparing for today, I looked up, well, what is the real definition of the word innovation? And it's very short. I was actually expecting something a little bit more grander, but it really is just innovation is a new method or an idea or a product. And in a world that we live in today that is constantly changing around us, that really does make all of us innovators by default. I've always had a love for technology. I love finding the right technology to make the outcome of whatever I'm trying to solve just better. And as a result of that passion, I've been able to drive a number of firsts in the industries that I've worked in. So I'm going to talk you through a couple of these examples. It's super exciting. I've had a really colorful and exciting career, in my opinion. One of the first I did was in ABB, working for ABB in England. There was a substation site in Newcastle upon Tyne, very big city, very built up. And we had, quoting the project manager, Hester, the site is as big as a postage stamp. And we had to install a new bay in the substation. And so the only solution that would work was an ABB hybrid pass system, which is basically a GIS. It's a whole substation bay that you can fit into a GIS system. This had never been used in the UK on this distributors network. So that was a first, working with the client to make sure that they accepted it. What was also interesting about this site, which I did not realize starting my career in England in energy, is there were still oil-filled cables around, and we had to do an XLPE to oil cable joint also, which again brought with it some interesting news and firsts for the client in that space. As part of my role, again, I introduced the first cast resin or dry type transformer on the London Underground. As you guys would appreciate, you don't want an oil-filled transformer underground. It's basically a bomb that you are burying. So on the London Underground, we worked with them to type test cast resin dry type transformers that went with ABB's transformer rectifiers for a power upgrade on the Jubilee line. And the coolest thing of that was really to do the type testing in Warsaw at -20 degrees, because that was one of the few facilities in Europe that still did short circuit testing for transformers. And as you would appreciate, we don't like to short circuit our transformers. So it was quite something to witness how they set it up and how we actually then got that gear type approved and installed on the London Underground. I also delivered the business strategy for Rolls-Royce in England, looking at the more electric aircraft engine. At this stage, the 787, which you guys would appreciate, was the first what they called more electric aircraft. So Rolls-Royce was starting to look, how do we optimize the systems that sit around our jet engines to actually be optimized for more electricity, more electrical systems. And so got the strategy embedded in the company, and also stood up the first number of demonstrator projects, and that was around high temperature power electronics. As you can appreciate, an engine is a pretty warm environment. Power electronics doesn't like that, so we were working with universities on that. We looked at different generator types. The generators were we were finding that Rolls-Royce was actually adapting our engines to facilitate the generator rather than the generator working around the engine that provided all the power on the aircraft. So again, working with the universities to see how we can optimize that. And then other interesting stuff like high temperature superconducting machines, because again, the more power dense you can get, the better it is for weight that you put into the aircraft. In Australia, I was part of Laing O'Rourke's engineering excellence team, and that team was asked to really challenge the construction industry and bring innovation into an industry that really over the years has not changed a lot in the way that they do things. And so part of that team, we created SunShift's first 1 megawatt modular movable solar power plant. So this is basically a solar array that you can pack up and move to the site. Intention initially was, can we use it on our construction sites? But the payback period wasn't quite short enough for that, but it was perfect for mine sites. So that's where that system got deployed, is on mine sites that you're not sure whether the life of the mine site is actually long enough to justify solar. So if you can pack it up and move it to a different site, that's how you actually can make the case, the business case, to invest in a system like that. Then moving into consultancy for Aurecon, I created and I set up our first digital capability in the company. So this was very much focused on, how do I embed a new capability that was customer focused in a business of people that was global. So setting up skills, learning, leading the digital practice, linking our customers' needs with what we can do in the business, making sure that we had good communication, because you always have pockets of genius in the company, and making sure that those stories got told and shared. And then the last first that I'll share is just as part of Lumia, I was part of their leadership team. So Lumia's Transgrid's commercial arm, I set up their first project management office for them. So you can see that my career has gone technology, it's gone strategy, it's gone capability and skills, and it's gone to just business systems. Really, really interesting seeing all that first, and really being able to take what I did in one industry and taking that to another. And then the question around, how are women really shaping the energy's future? And it's interesting, when somebody asks you a question like that, your mind goes, oh, who do I know that is actually a woman that is changing the future of energy? And I couldn't think of a lot. I could think of some amazing women around, but I couldn't think of a lot. And so I looked a little bit around the statistics of our industry, and it's a little bit bleak. Overall energy industry in Australia is only 16.5% women. However, the statistics does show that 39% of that 16% actually works within the renewable sector. And that is amazing. And I felt really hopeful when I saw that statistic, because we know that diversity of thought, of gender, of background actually leads to a more innovative and better commercial outcomes for the system that you are working on. And especially for the complex future that we are currently designing and delivering, that is, you know, the wicked problem that is the energy transition. It's really good that the majority of gender mix that we see currently in our industry is actually in the renewables sector. So I do strongly believe that by seeing that, that's the way that women are both shaping the workforce culture as well as the technical direction and innovative solutions that we need to see in this sector. That's the main thing. I think there was one question around.
Yeah, from Melissa.
Yeah, the space constraint. Which one? For the site issue where we used the
dry
hybrid
transformers.
Ah, no, Melissa, there was actually not a space constraint. It was the most interesting thing that when they built, and the Jubilee line is one of the newer lines on the London Underground, they built it with future in mind, where they actually had massive empty rooms just sitting in the substations below the stations. And these are like stations in Canary Wharf and Canada Waters, brand new, enough space. So space was not an issue.
Wow.
Our transformer rectifiers could actually fit in there beautifully. What was a challenge though, the record keeping when they built and designed those stations, the access hatches that we had in order to drop our equipment in, nobody could find them. So we had to hunt around to actually see where above ground those hatches were, and there was a road over that. So we had to find the right space and then do active traffic management in very busy parts of London to actually open those hatches and then drop our equipment down. But space was fine.
That's very lucky.
Yes. Don't know if there's any other
forward
questions.
Planning.
Yeah, how do we justify that?
Yeah.
We have a question from Sam Kerr as well. Sam, if you'd like to ask the question.
Yeah, Hester, how are you going?
I'm
We've got
good, Sam.
some of
I'm
our
good.
Aurecon team here from Brisbane. So just asking, what is the hardest challenge within your career to date, and how have you overcome it? And what have you learnt personally?
That is a fantastic question. And I feel that because we overcome the challenges we face, it's really difficult to say the hardest one. One of the ones that sits in my mind is actually delivering that project on the London Underground. It was complex in the sense that it was for the London Underground, but I had suppliers that was the dry type transformers were in Spain, my rectifiers were being made in Poland, and I had oil-filled transformers because we had 3 sites that was outside that could take oil-filled transformers, was made in Finland. And we were using for the first time an NEC contract. So I had to both coach the other ABB suppliers on how that would work, and we basically helped them to also fill in the right schedules every month that needed to go to the clients, as well as just language barriers. I specifically remember this one where the person in Poland wrote to the person in Spain, you know, I afraid something is not working right, and the person in Spain writing back to him, what are you afraid of? You know, not understanding that it's a phrase that we use, going, oh, I'm not sure this is going to work, and the language just didn't work. There was complexities in there. It was long days for me, so I was exhausted physically. It was, as I say, a new contract model, but it was also exciting as one of the highlights of my career too. But I think that was one of the trickier ones, just stakeholder management across cultures, across tech, but super exciting at the same time.
Thank you very much, Hester. We might move on to Sam now, and if we have any more questions at the end, if that's all right with you, Hester, we can ask them. But I'd like to introduce Sam Kraft, who is the Customer Innovation Manager at SA Power Networks, and also one of our Equal by 30 champions as well. Welcome, Sam.
Thanks, Emily, and thank you, Hester. I absolutely enjoyed your story, and just hearing the passion in your voice just makes me so excited for the future that we're creating. So thank you so much for sharing your story. We need to do more of that. I'm going to talk to you today, and I want to share 3 things with you. So my own journey in innovation, what innovation looks like on the ground, and why women will be critical in shaping our future. Australia is in the middle of a renewable energy revolution, also known as the energy transition. By 2030, we'll need nearly 40,000 new workers, so engineers, electricians, innovators, educators, problem solvers, to power it. I have always loved solving problems. I was one of those friends that you'd come to for an action plan, not necessarily a hug. And through that, I absolutely fell in love with solving problems. So that took me into law, but my heart really wasn't in it. After some time overseas, I came back to Adelaide and found myself working with a small solar startup. And that's where everything changed. I quickly fell in love with renewable energy. At first, we were helping customers by servicing existing solar systems and getting them back up and running. We became a trusted partner to households, businesses, and manufacturers across South Australia. The company grew rapidly, and I stepped up into the Director of Operations position by managing the day-to-day as well as the strategic direction of the business. We expanded into installing solar, batteries, and EV chargers while still maintaining our servicing arm. It was really exciting to see the impact we were having, giving people solutions they could trust and rely on. But over time, I realized something important. Solar alone was only one piece of such a bigger puzzle. Supporting customers through their full energy transition required a much more broader approach. That realization brought me to SA Power Networks, where I now lead the newly created Customer Innovation Portfolio, a space dedicated to initiatives to help all customers through the energy transition, not just those with solar. Alongside this, I've had the privilege of serving as the Vice President of the Smart Energy Council, shaping conversations nationally about the future of our industry. And as mentioned, the Equity Ambassador for Equal by 30 by the Department of Climate Change, Energy, Environment and Water, which we're advocating for equal pay, equal leadership and equal opportunities by 2030. So it's really been a journey from being that friend with an action plan to drive solutions for customers across the energy systems. Also, I do now enjoy hugs. At SA Power Networks, we've pioneered a program called Flexible Exports. It allowed customers to export up to 10 kilowatts per phase, but during times of grid instability, we can temporarily flex that export down. This has been a real success in managing the issues of excess solar in the middle of the day. But that solved one problem. It didn't solve another, the costly evening peak between 5 and 9 p.m. The grid is under the most strain and customers are paying the most. So the big question for us was, how do we avoid costly network augmentation while supporting customers to use energy in smarter, fairer ways? Our solution is a project called Energy Masters. It's a demand-side flexibility project. Through our home energy management system, or a HEMS, customers can opt into appliances like EV chargers, hot water systems, and air conditioners to run when energy is cheaper and cleaner. And when the grid hits peak demand, we can flex those appliances down and reward those customers for flexibility. We're also researching customer behaviours through an 18-month research project to make sure the program is simple, fair, and valuable for households and the grid. But innovation is not just about technology. It's about who is shaping it. The Energy Masters team is made up of incredible women and men who are tackling the real challenges, and there are a lot that the customers and the network face on the path of electrification. Working alongside partners and researchers, they're delivering a first-of-its-kind project, and it's not easy. Every day brings a new challenge, and resilience is absolutely essential. But this team is adapting, growing, and leading from the front, proving that diversity drives better outcomes, deeper empathy and stronger innovation. Take Michaela Riley, our project manager. I sit next to her every day. She's been working across partners and researchers to solve problems the industry has never faced before. And as Hester mentioned, stakeholder management can be one of the most difficult things to do. She is so passionate about this project and bringing it to life, and that kind of talent and tenacity is exactly what we need more of in this sector. True innovation happens when the people shaping our energy system reflect the people that serve it, and that means more women in leadership. Thank you, Emily.
That's wonderful. Does anyone have any questions for Sam? Yeah. Come on, people. Corey.
Hi, Sam. I just wondered, so you've got a law background, like how did you navigate not having a technical background? Did you have any things to help you, get up to speed, or did you just pick it up by immersing yourself in it?
I was fortunate that law allowed me to have a lot of transferable skills. So as a lawyer, you learn to read and understand lots of complex issues and read some more. And as a part of that, when we started NRG Solar, I read a lot of the standards and the documentation that was around for solar. And there wasn't really a lot of this is how you operate a solar business back then. But starting with the servicing side of the business, it was kind of like a solar apprenticeship in the way that I worked with our trades to develop processes, understand what was good and bad, what the customer really needed, and sort of grew it like that. I guess it was part self-research and part just giving it a go, which is sometimes what innovation needs.
I think sometimes we forget the importance of those transferable skills in all different aspects of our life. Does anyone have any other questions specifically for Sam?
I do, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Hi, Sam. Thanks for the talk just then. Great to hear all the fantastic work that you're doing with Energy Masters, and you've really paved the way for the project team. I would just like to know, is there anything that you find is really useful in being able to create a culture of innovation, especially with partners, like stakeholder partners that may not be on the same page or don't share the same, I guess, passion for innovation? Is there any hints or tips that you can share to help myself and others?
This is the incredible project manager I was just talking about. Thanks for the question, Vicky. The first part of your question, a culture of innovation, I think you need to create a culture where it's okay to make a mistake and you want to fail quickly, and it's okay to be in the grey and not having the answer right away. It's a journey. Innovation, you might be going in one direction and then something happens like a new reg, or you challenge in something and you have a sandbox waiver, or a consultation paper comes out. Like, you're just always on the move, and you've got to be in an environment where you don't burn out, because you can just throw yourself into this sort of stuff, and you need to make sure you've got some balance and that you've got a safe team and a safe place to be able to innovate. When you have challenging stakeholders and not everyone's on the same page, really clear communication, reminding everyone of what our goals are, and making sure that roles and responsibilities are really clear. I mean, we're all just trying to do the same thing, right? Help customers on the energy transition. So, making sure you've got your goals and what success looks like really obvious, so that people can stay motivated and passionate about what they're working on.
Thank you. Great tips.
I think both engineers and lawyers share that we're all rather risk averse in that sort of situation. So I think that comes as a little bit more complexity as far as innovation is concerned. I think I could probably ask this to both you and Hester. How do you overcome that with innovation versus risk?
Do you want to go first, Hester, or would you like me to?
I can give it a crack. Innovation and risk it's a very interesting question, Emily, because even though I've got a love for innovation, if I put my project management hat on, it equals risk. Yeah. One of the things that we were sort of investigating while I was at Langer Walk is actually using piezoelectric tiles to go into the new central station in Sydney. And I thought it was super awesome. It was technology that's been proven in other areas. We were looking at if I can have a strip inside the station. If people walk on it, can I track them through the station so that they could get money back for the amount of watts that they sort of generated while going through it? But on a mega project where there's so many other things going on, that was not even considered, because it's high risk, it's going to take time, it's going to take money. No. So I think the challenge that we have there as innovators is really understanding that as soon as you put it on a project, there is an element that needs to be managed. So either a company must have a clear way to encourage innovation, as well as then a process to accommodate that on projects to get it into their systems, so that the people that both will be operating it as well as maintaining it will actually understand that, yes, this has been thought through, we understand, and actually a whole of life consideration for it. But it also says that if there are great things that could change, currently one of the key things in our industry is how do we manage the cost blowout that we're seeing when we're building transmission and substations. If there is ideas out there, though we know this is a very conservative industry, for good reason, we're dealing with people's lives and network surety. If it doesn't stand up, how do we help the right customers and clients to actually trial those innovations to then bring it in to get the benefits of it? So it's very hard, but there is always a way around it. What is your view, Sam?
Great take, Hester. I think for me, it was really around like risk, innovation. As long as you understand really what is the problem you're trying to solve, and then you can sort of flip it and do a risk analysis on what's the risk if we don't do this, and what will happen. And then you find it a little bit easier to balance the risks of, okay, what do we need to mitigate to ensure that this is a successful project or trial or innovation, versus, what is the risk if we don't do this, and what will happen, and then you really get that risk versus reward profile, which helps me because, I mean, I have been able to transition a little bit more to grey over the years, but yes, it is tricky.
Excellent. If anyone has any other questions, please put them in the chat. Oh, Sam's got a question, so we'll go back to her room. I'll put her in the spotlight as well.
Hi, I'm Sam's colleague Noreen from Aurecon in Brisbane. Mm-hmm. So I would like to ask, how are you able to embrace and utilize the power of AI in your innovation? Yeah, if you can cite any experience or anything that you were able to utilize AI or embrace it in any way.
Sure.
I've got a great example, but Sam.
Great. You go, that's fine. I'll go after.
All right, fantastic. So yes, AI, and I'm very interested to see how this will actually help us in the future. Our networks are going to become so much more complex, and I don't think human brains and systems will actually be able to orchestrate all of the differences in a very dynamic, variable energy resource wide system. I think we're in for a fantastic journey in the future in our country. So AI, where we've applied it with our customers at Aurecon, is one of the TNSPs has, I think most of the TNSPs has got a challenge at the moment working through customer connection inquiries. And as you know, under the rules, there's a certain amount of time period that they need to get back to proponents with a scope and a budget to say, yes, if you want to connect, you can, and this is sort of what it would look like, and this is what it would cost. To get ahead of that and to get rid of the bottleneck of the amount of customer connection inquiries, we've actually worked with a customer to see whether we can, to develop an AI system that both can look at the request that comes in, create a single line, create a possible cost. All of this, of course, gets checked before it gets sent out. But that creation upfront bit runs so much quicker, enabling our client to actually process the number of connection inquiry requests. And of course, that's AI, but we have to remember AI is a subset of just automation at the end of the day. And what we do within Aurecon is very much challenge a lot of the calculations that we've had to do, even as simple as, arc flash calculations. Can we create an automated tool that's very easy for our engineers to use, that's been checked and approved by our specialists to go, yep, this is something that we can use. And again, it helps with that efficiency on our project. So a couple of examples there. Sam?
Yeah, great. And I really like the way that you're phrasing how we use AI. It really is a tool that we can use to create a better service or a better system or better automation, and really get the people doing the things that they love the most and freeing up time to be able to specialize on what really matters. We're using AI in a few different things when it comes to innovation. So at the moment, we're redesigning our customer experience platform at SA Power Network. So like a new CRM, new communications or like notification system, new metadata analysis, like huge amount of work, and finding where AI can add value without taking away, personalized service is a really delicate balance. And in South Australia, we're not just dealing with a few customers, we're dealing with like 800,000 different NIMIs. So there's a lot of different ways people like to contact us, and making sure that we're accessible to all types of customers is really important. And then we're also looking at different ways that customers might be able to self-serve when it comes to SA Power Networks, and how AI can help us look at different things on the network that need to be updated or tweaked, I suppose, as time goes on. But first comes the data, which is always a little bit tricky, and then comes the automation. So we're in the process of evolving in that space for sure.
Okay, does anyone, I've got something in the question and answer column from Michael Reed. Michael, would you like to ask that yourself? We're going interactive, or is he gonna?
Yeah, hi Hester, how have you been?
Hey Michael, I'm good, thanks. Yourself?
Good, thanks. So Hester and I work together at Aurecon Sunshift, and it's great to see you so passionate about the stuff that Engineering Excellence did. But I suppose my question is, how do you find your time now at Aurecon and your ability to have innovation sort of ideas being presented to clients and their capacity to take those suggestions on board?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. Thanks, and it's great to see you, Michael. I think my career journey has given me a great appreciation of where at the start it might have been, why wouldn't customers just accept this, and really understanding that the stuff that we did as part of NXG for Langeroog was also sometimes, even if it wasn't too blue sky, still too risk averse to actually go on to projects. However, what it did give me is definitely an appreciation to start those conversations where possible earlier with clients, to understand how you can actually bring about an idea onto a project without the perception that it is risk or it will increase cost, but really to bring it back to, rather than us getting excited about the technology. And I was thinking about this the other day actually, Mike, because driving into the car park of my local shops, car parks are bloody ugly, hey? Because there's usually not a cost case. Why on earth would you paint them? They are there to just park our cars. The prettiness is upstairs where we shop. But in Langeroog, one of the things in the NXG we were looking at is actually there's a paint that you can use that it's got an enzyme in it that will take the like the exhaust fumes from our cars and develop it into it basically purifies the air, but you'd have to paint your garages or the basements in the buildings. And again, that doesn't stack up. So it's really balancing the fantastic tech that we've got within, just realizing and working for a company like Aurecon, it's like, yep, we did 100 Mount Street. Why on earth wouldn't we paint our own building? Because it doesn't make sense to paint a parking garage or the basement of a building. So I think it's that balance of innovation and technology that is freaking awesome, and then the real life just cost balance and risk that you have to bring in, but also the reality that, you know, what we did with Sunshift, Michael was part of that team, working with our customers, refining our solution, understanding where we needed to tweak some things, and then understanding also that even though our business case at the start was construction sites, it did end up being mining sites. So being agile while you're doing that technology, that was the other thing that I definitely took from Laing O'Rourke into consulting.
Is there anything else with that, Michael? Or
I've got lots of questions for Hester, but I think I'll have to organise a coffee catch up with her to go through them all.
Oh, let's do that, mate. Let's do that.
Thank you. Does anyone have any other questions? You can raise your hand, put them in the Q&A or the chat. I was just going to ask the question I'll probably start with Sam. How would we better support young women to innovate? Are there different barriers that you see in the way that men and women innovate, or?
What a loaded question. It's a great question. It's a complex question. It all is systemic from how men and women experience innovation and dealing with the unknown at a young age. I think we're getting a lot better when it comes to educating everyone around what opportunities there are and the pathways into different careers as we go on. However, innovation is not about being perfect. It's about, you know, testing, learning, adapting, and encouraging iteration of that. Whereas for me personally, I still drive for perfection, and I still want things to be great before I share my ideas with someone, or I'm afraid that someone will think I'm stupid for bringing up something, you know, or like asking the dumb questions. And I think we really need to ensure that the next generation can just speak up and give it a go and be okay and to feel safe to just work it out and collaborate more. I think that's maybe the best way to go. I mean, Hester, what do you think? You've gone through the traditional STEM path, but from like, I mean, I was smart and not great at math, so I did law, right? No one tried to help me do better at math. They were just like, oh, you could do law. So I mean, from your perspective, I mean, what are you seeing?
Yeah, it's a fantastic question. It's, if you look at the way that women go through our careers, that's different to the majority. And I know you know, there's always the generalization, but in general, as women go through our careers, we seem to go sideways, and that's how we sort of climb the ladder. And having to go through that in your career, I think it also makes us more adaptable and agile. And that is exactly what innovation really asks of us. Like you say, if something doesn't work, why? How can I adapt? How can I change? Or I've got a challenge here that the normal approach just won't solve it for me. So I have to think a little bit different. So that agility, that by just the nature of how we progress through our careers, and I think we can unpack that topic over you know, for a long time. Actually helps us to think differently and to approach things in a different manner. One of the key things that I do believe we can do to really support each other is also be promoters for each other. One of the very interesting topics for me is really just how much better males in general are at both working their network and leveraging their network. And one of the things that women are usually not that good at is actually pulling others up and networking, never mind male or female, just using the networks that we've got to really also empower ourselves to move forward in our careers.
Oh, absolutely. It's such a good point. And I think this is why I enjoy people telling their stories so much. It's like we've got to promote all of the experience that we've had and talk about it because, you know, more people seeing women in the spotlight around what they're working on, it inspires the next generation. So totally agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. I might go to, I'm just making sure I pronounce this correctly. Nega. Are you there? Go the next question. It's come off. Okay, well, then the question is in the chat. How do you usually seek these opportunities to implement your innovation? She's always struggling to find the right moment, project, opportunity to show innovation.
It's a great question. I think innovation is a way of thinking and a way of being. I'm really fortunate to work on innovation as a job, but innovative thinking can be implemented into anything that you're working on. And it's around understanding the problem and then talking through the different solutions there are or creative solutions to resolve the problem that you're trying to face. At SA Power Networks, we have really invested in innovation over the last few years, and we've grown from just network innovation to customer innovation and to asset management innovation as well. And I think Michelle Howie's on the call, and she's been trying to work on an innovation pathway for our business, which is incredibly difficult because you don't want to stifle innovation by giving it too much structure, but we need to make sure we've got safeguards in place. And we talk about things like the sniff test, you know, does this smell like innovation? All right, let's just give it a go. And it's very difficult to put that into a process. So Michelle's doing a great job, but we're all working together to try and make it easier for strategic innovation to come from all parts of SA Power Networks, and so that everyone can see what we're working on, because innovation is really important. And if you're struggling, I would just keep applying it to whatever you're working on, and then you'll start to get noticed as an innovative thinker, and you'll be able to get onto projects that need that sort of thinking. So for me, it's like innovation is a way of life. It's not necessarily a project, if that helps.
I like that, viewing it as any problem provides innovation.